Good morning, everyone. Today we're starting 10.1b. This is just an extension of 10.1a. We're going to be graphing ax squared plus c. So the first thing we have is the parent quadratic function from last time. This is the most basic one, y equals x squared. The vertex, remember, is the highest or lowest point of a graph, of a parabola. In this case, it's the lowest point. And then the axis of symmetry is the line where that splits the parabola in half. For this case, the axis of symmetry is x equals 0. So let's graph this. So we have to graph 1/2 x squared minus 4 and compare it with y equals x squared. So that's what I'm going to start with. I'm just going to start by putting my y equals x squared on my graph. So I can see the difference between the two of them once I graph both of them. Alright, so if we get y equals 1/2 x squared minus 4, I'm going to start by putting in a 0. So 0 squared is 0, times 1/2, that's still 0, minus 4, well that is negative 4. So 0, negative 1, 2, 3, 4. If I put in 1, 1 squared is 1, times 1/2 is a half, minus 4, that is a negative 3.5. So 1 is now at negative 3.5. 2 squared is 4, half of that is 2, minus 4 gives me a negative 2. So now if I put in the negatives over here, I'm actually just going to get the same numbers, negative 3.5, and I'll get a negative 2 for negative 2. So this parabola looks like this. So it has, because it widened out, and because a is less than 1, but greater than 0, which is 1/2, this has a vertical shrink. And that vertical shrink is a factor of 1/2. It's our a. It opens up because it's positive. It has an axis of symmetry of x equals 0. And a vertex, this is the lowest point, it has a vertex of 0, negative 4. Alright, next one. I'm going to put y equals x squared right away. So now if I put some values into this, I'm going to make myself a table here. So we have 0, start with that. 0 squared is 0, times 3 is 0, minus 6 is negative 6. Next one, if I put 1, 1 squared is 1, times 3 is 3, minus 6 is a negative 3. If I put in 2, 2 squared is 4, times 3 is 12, 12 minus 6 is 6. Then if I put in the negatives, I'm going to get the same numbers on both sides. So this one starts at 0, negative 6, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, negative 1, 2, 3, negative 1, negative 3, Then 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 6. So this one got skinnier. And when it gets skinnier, it has a stretch factor. Now stretch is when A is greater than 1. This one has a stretch factor of 3. It opens up. The axis of symmetry is x equals 0 with a vertex of 0, -6. Alright, so again I'm going to start with my parent function, putting that on every graph. Then if we make a table here, this time we have -5x² plus 1. So I'm going to put in 0. 0 squared is 0, times -5 is 0, plus 1 is 1. If I put in 1, 1 squared is 1, times -5 is -5, plus 1 is -4. Then if I put in 2, 2 squared is 4, times -5 is -20, plus 1 is -19. Same thing over here. This is going to give me a -4, and this should give me a -19. So if we graph that then, the first one is at 0, 1. Then it goes to 1, -1, 2, 3, 4. Then it goes to 1, or -1 and -4. And then the next one is off the graph. We have -19. We can't do that, so I'm just going to connect these dots. So this time, our absolute value of A was greater than 1, so it has a stretch of 5. It opens, this time it opens down. Now the reason it opens down is because this 5 has a negative on it, and when we multiply by that negative and then add 1, we're not going to really get anything to go upwards. The axis of symmetry, so far it stayed the same, x equals 0. This time it has a vertex of above 0, 0 though, and that is at 0, 1. Alright, so now it says compare the graph just by looking at this. So we're not going to actually graph these, we're just going to compare them, seeing what we have. First one, I see that A is greater than 1, so I know that's going to stretch. Second, it's positive A, so I know it's going to open up. The axis of symmetry, we haven't learned anything else yet, so I know that that's going to be x equals 0. And then the vertex, so if I put 0 in for x, I get 2 times 0, which is 0, minus 12, which is -12. The vertex is going to be 0, negative 12. Next one has a of smaller than 1, so I know that's going to shrink. This one is going to open up still because it's positive. The axis of symmetry is still going to be x equals 0. And the vertex, I have to put 0 in for x to see what we have. If I put 0 in for x, I get 0, negative 2 as my vertex. Alright, you guys try that last one. So pause the video and do that on your own. Then on your notes we have this helpful little page here. This will tell you everything about stretching and shrinking and when it reflects. And everything about these graphs, these parabolas. So keep that in a safe place. Last question, how would the graph of the function y equals x squared plus 6 be affected if the function were changed to y equals x squared plus 2? Well, if we started at 6 and we went to 2, I know that that's going down from 6 to 2, so I know that it's not going to shift upwards. We haven't learned anything about going to the left yet, but if I just put 0 into both of my x's, I would get 6 and 2. So that wouldn't tell me anything about moving to the left. My vertex would be at 0, 2 instead of 0, 6. So the graph would shift 4 units down.